Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Minecraft Mediumcore. It feels so good to be back in the overworld. As previously stated, in this episode what I plan on doing is working on filling up this entire lake with dirt, chopping down all these trees and flattening the village, and just generally smoothing out this terrain in all this area, so that I can turn this into a giant wheat field with hopefully like a giant windmill in the center for grinding flour and making bread and stuff. So that's what I want to do with this area, because for so long this area has plagued me with its existence. I don't like it. I don't like how it looks. It's not useful. Over there's just a massive hole from where I dug sand. It doesn't look good, and that problem is going to be solved. And there's a hole there, and it's going to give me a cool backdrop to my town, because you'll be able to look around town and see this massive field of wheat glowing upon the distance. So I guess first step, gather a ton of dirt. Many of dirt has been gathered, and I've already started to come up with a bit of a plan for how I want this area to look. What I want to do is actually keep some of water here. What I want to do is I want to take that little river area and carry it through and connect it up with that river over there. But I'll have to do some modifications to the water area itself to get it to look right, but that's okay. And then have like a little bridge in the middle of the wheat farm over the river, and have it seem like the river is hydrating the entire farm. And then for the rest of this, I want to cover over this all with dirt, and I don't want to keep it flat. I want it to be kind of like a rolling hill almost. Up on top of the hill, I want to have the windmill that I mentioned earlier. So that's my general plan for how this is going to turn out, and that's obviously going to start with flattening out parts of this area that stick out. And it's going to be interesting building here, because right over there is my slime farm, so I have to be careful. I have to build around that, because it is right there. So I'll probably end up actually building something on the edge there to kind of conceal it. Maybe a small little like dam almost, or just block it up entirely and connect the hills over here. Actually, probably that would be easier. So yeah, that's what I'm planning on doing. And I think the first step would be to just fill in the water, cover it over it with dirt, and then I can texture it later, because I want to see how it looks with just the river. This is taking quite a bit longer than expected, but one way or another, I promise it'll be done by the end of this episode. And I have made quite a bit of progress. I've gotten this entire side of my artificial river filled in with dirt, and it is very flat right now. It looks really weird, and the grass isn't even spread all the way. But I've got this entire side, and this is the river itself. It's not very great looking. That's okay. It doesn't really matter, and it's not going to be the center of attention. But it's just going to pass right through here. I'll have a bridge over it somewhere over here. And then over here I'm going to build the second phase area, I suppose, of sloping hill. And it's hopefully not going to be as big. I want it to peak about here-ish. Actually, no, closer to about here. And then slope off that way. So it shouldn't take too much longer. And then, of course, right after that, I'll till it all and pop in the wheat seeds, and then up on the peak over there, I'll put the giant windmill. And considering I'm running out of time to record, I'll have it done, I promise, but I might not be able to do as many progress updates as I had hoped, so it's probably the next clip I show is going to be the entire thing done. And that's okay. So it'll be more of a showcase almost. But that's okay. And I'm honestly really excited to see how this turns out in the end. I am going to need to harvest more wheat seeds though, because right now I definitely do not have enough to cover this all. So I should probably get harvesting. This has been a lot of work, but so far it has been worth every second. I think this actually is turning out to be looking very, very, very good. I've finished all the terraforming and I've put in the entire wheat field and this rickety little fence around it. All that's left to build is the windmill, and I'm saving the best for last. So I've got this pathway going between over this little bridge, and then on both sides I've got nothing but wheat. I am out of seeds, but it's all in place. Seed after seed after seed after seed. Thousands of seeds. And I'm not kidding when I mean thousands. It took a long time. It took several hours actually. But I think it was definitely worth it. And I can't wait to see how this is going to look when I get the windmill in place, because even right now I think it looks really, really cool. And it's going to look even better when all the wheat is grown, because that's something I'm still waiting on. And I love how this turned out, and it looks amazing from above too. I'm actually really, really proud of how this turned out. And as you can see, I've already laid the foundation for where I'm going to put the windmill, and gave a little start on it. I have an idea for what I'm going to do for it, and hopefully it turns out looking nice. I can't wait to see this all come together, because I think this has actually been one of my favorite projects I've done this entire series, just because I love how it looks. I think it looks beautiful. It serves no purpose, but it looks so nice in my opinion, and it gives this area a purpose, because before this area had no purpose, and now it does. And I'm glad I did this. I do have a bad habit of making things too tall, don't I? Don't get me wrong, I think it looks pretty good. It's just this middle section is a good 5 or 10 blocks too tall. Other than that, I think it actually turned out quite well. I really like the wind turbine and the dome on top. Or not the wind turbine, the windmill itself. And then I kind of like how this base turned out. All in all, I think it's pretty good. But it's just, yeah, this middle section is a bit too tall. Like 5 or 10 blocks. And surprisingly enough, I actually decorated the interior more or less. It's got some torches, got a nice little floor, and then up at the top, the windmill, when the wind spins it, it spins a giant cog, which in turn rotates this cog, which would rotate this, which would rotate our little wheat grindy thing here. That's about it. And also there's some, let's just say natural ventilation around the wall. I'd love to say I did it intentionally, but you can't see it from the outside. So it's honestly fine. Unless you jump. But just don't jump. But all in all, I'd say it was worth the hours that went into it. I think it was worth it. I think it looks as good as it could be for my poor building ability. Man, I really do make things way too tall. My eyes are bigger than my building space, question mark. It's not horrible. It's just not the best. I want to say it looks better from far away, but it kind of doesn't. But it does look really nice on top of that giant wheat field, I gotta say. I do really, really love how this turned out, and I'm actually really proud of the progress I've made here. It took several hours, but ultimately, it's a nice addition to the base, I think, even though it has zero function whatsoever. It was nice. So with that being said, that's all I'm going to do for today's episode of Minecraft Medium Core. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.